Hello tribe, Heather here from Collective Rising. Welcome again. Another one of my videos. This time I'm going to be talking about signs of awakening to your higher multidimensional self. What are the things that we notice that happens within and without? And what are the things that we can keep a track of to signify and to help us realize that we're closer to an unfoldment event, which means we have shed the old layers and begun a new journey of unfoldment, of realization, of growth, discovery, and activation. So let's begin navigating these points. First one is when you wake up daily. Things will be different for you if you are beginning to awaken to your Christos seed atom and your true self. So first thing is you're going to be waking up with a sense and a feeling of like a joy, like an arrival place. You know, when you go on a holiday, a long holiday, and come back home. That feeling when you're opening the door and walking through your home after a long period of absence. And it's just gonna feel, although you're not there yet, but it's going to feel like life has got something for you where you're going through a passage that's, starting to see the silver lining, the hope, that glimmer of joy, that initial joy you feel when something just sits well with you and something feels right within your body, within your mind, within your soul. You're gonna maybe start to feel a sense of love, a sense of expansion, maybe a sense of lightness. There will be a growing feeling of wonder as well, and thirst for knowledge and gnosis, even though you may still be a little bit consumed or very consumed in making a living. That's besides the point, because we all have to make a living. So you will be, maybe tied up in doing all these things, but then there's that glimmer of a sensation, a feeling, a deep-seated feeling that something just feels really nice here. It's different, and because the reason for that is the anxiety to get somewhere in life physically and materialistically starts to wane, starts to fade away, while something else is taking precedence, and that thing is your spirit. Your spirit is calling for you to start to recognize it, to know your true self. So there's that feeling of a dissolution of the illusion, if you like, and a feeling of contentment that starts to set in, although it may not be, like 100% contentment, because that's really impossible, but it's a beginning of that stage of contentment. And there is also a passion for growth and for creation, for making something, for beginning your path of co-creating, and knowing that you have a say in your life, and it doesn't have to be automatic and too mechanical. So that's a nice feeling. So that's the feeling you will start to feel upon waking up, upon going to bed, although I'd say more so in the waking time as you wake up, because it's that initial thought that comes in rather than that late thought at night when we're tired and go to bed, or just before we go to bed. So that's number one. Number two, you may start to experience spontaneous letting go effortlessly of everything that used to trouble you, accompanied by a sense, or in fact, it's an undeniable sense of relief from the emotional burdens that weigh you down. You feel like you've got mastery over your emotional body. It may be at the beginning stages, but it's still nevertheless to a degree, a mastery over the emotional body. You may have come from a background of a childhood background of trauma, wounding, and pain that hasn't yet healed, and you have felt defensive all your life, and that you had to prove yourself in order to earn validation and love, and in order to receive attention. But once you start to awaken to your true self, that defensiveness might start to diffuse a little bit, to be replaced by a very healthy level of autonomy and self-mastery and self-control. That mastery is at its beginning stages, so we can't really call it mastery, but from the perspective of the self that has released some of the trauma and some of that defense mechanism for survival, that fight and flight and that constant defensiveness, it's a big thing. It may feel like, oh, I'm mastering this thing, you know, even though it may not be for an outsider, but it will feel like that. Your body, your emotional body starts to feel less impacted and less pressurized to keep up with the range of emotions that are taking place constantly, and that roller coaster of emotions, and you start to set into that what seems to be like a semi-permanent state of being where you feeling, you know, like maybe you don't have as like 20 different emotions all at once. You know, maybe they cut back on the fluctuations, or even, you know, just set to like 3, 4, or 5, you know, maybe 10, which is still half, you know, the 20. So you will feel that the emotional body starts to exude its own sweet fragrance, and people are noticing that those heavy emotions that you used to walk around with, you know, may be like anger, grief, sadness, lack of motivation, shame, guilt, lack of self-love, and that kind of thing, that starts to be replaced with, like, you know, gratitude, appreciation, positivity, you know, and different emotions that lift you up and help you to transform in one way or another. That's number 2. Number 3, with the unfoldment and the awakening, there comes a feeling of lightness in the body and spaciousness as well. The mind becomes less occupied. It may feel like less of a prison and more of a beautiful tool to navigate your way through life. A tool that we can use on and off. So suppose you have a tool and you really love that tool, would you keep it on all the time? You know, 100% of the time? No, we wouldn't. So we use the mind in the same way. The mind is a beautiful tool, but only when we know how to operate it, and to what degree and to what extent we keep it on, versus when we have the right amount of mastery where we can just go and flick it off. I know it's not that simple, but when we start to activate and awaken, because of that sense of contentment in life, that we don't feel like there's an urgency to continue to pursue things and materialistic acquisitions in life. We feel like we can just take a step back and just work with the mind and the tools that we have inherently within. So at the beginning, you feel increased lightness in your body and mind, and you begin to make room for higher spiritual pursuits. So all these thoughts, that incessant thoughts that keep hounding you everywhere you go, you know, you need to do this, you need to buy this, you need to invest here, you need, all these little things that took up a lot of space in your mind will start to go away and be replaced with different kinds of pursuits, more of a spiritual type. So that's 3. Number 4, physically you may begin to feel different and look different. The world may start to seem more beautiful through your senses, a wider spectrum of vivid colors enhanced through your sensory organs. Things begin to interest you more and more, and especially natural beauty. You will experience a greater affinity to nature, to animals. You have an increased interest in planetary activities. You may take up a new hobby that involves observing the changing environmental and biological phenomena, and you know, growing your own vegetables and watching them grow brings you a great fulfillment and happiness. Your universal chakras begin to activate, so you start to feel connected more and more to the universal happenings, and there's just something that begins to change within yourself and within your environment. You know, like, you know, you could be like no longer interested in like Gucci bags if you're a woman, and you may start to invest in a telescope where, you know, you could just sit for hours and watch the stars. I don't know, just something that came to mind. Deep happenings inside start to bring you tears of joy, at times mixed with sadness as well, and longing to go back home to your original angelic state. This is for starseeds mainly, but also earthseeds. So yeah, your appearance will begin to look different. You may go from being, you know, a black or white person as far as outfits are concerned, and begin to use colors in your outfits, and you change your style, your home environment, your furniture looks different, starts to look different, because now you have a more deeper connection to colors, because you understand that connection, that frequency is color, and it's important to use the right color combinations to get that frequency and connect with it on a deep level. So it's got a purpose. Everything has a purpose, you know, like they do in feng shui. They have specific colors serve for different things. For example, yellow in the house brings good luck and positive energy. Red outside the front door, for example, brings in you know, money and wealth. So yeah, there's different colors serve different things. So you begin to invest some thought and emotion and action into maintaining these things around your house and within yourself. So it will start to show. Appearance is important because it reflects the inner condition of the person. Most of the time it does, and it's really important because it's an extension. The body is an extension of the soul. So when we look after our body, it's another way of saying that I honor my soul and I love my soul at a deep level, and I want to dress up with what really makes me feel good on the inside and represents what is important to me as an individual. So that's 4. Now 5, that's an interesting one, 5, because I feel time begins to feel more fluid. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree with this one as well, because I hear a lot of people say, where did time go? And things like that. Some people will say time is really slow, going really slow. Time is relative, yes. It depends on what you're doing in life and how you're perceiving it, how much emotionally invested you are in what you're doing. You know, if you're looking for an escape from a situation, then time is, you know, tends to go really, really slow. If you're excited, happy, having a lot of fun, then time goes really super fast. So, but this one is different. This one is time starts to feel in both situations, it feels fluid, like it's moving. You feel it moving like water from one thing to the next, and you're flowing between the two, you know, between two polarities. And it's like there's not enough time for rest and restoration. You feel like you're not rushing things anymore. That sense of urgency that comes with time, the time constraints, those tend to go away, and you're more focused on just flowing with the idea of time, what time is. You don't have the concept yet in your mind. You can't fully understand time per se, but you do know that you're just sort of flowing with it, like flowing with the wind. And you may or may not start to see flashlight sequences randomly appear and disappear. And this is a great hint that you are starting to experience a multidimensional reality. You're experiencing a different dimension when that happens. And you may even be tapping into your other self that's experiencing another dimension. It may happen in an awakened state or in a dream state. Either way, it's relative, and it's very, very significant, because the mind and the soul do not know the difference between dream and awakened state. It's the same thing from a higher dimension perspective. So yeah, that's going to start to happen more and more as you begin to activate. Number 6, you are coming close to realizing your true self, and you begin to notice that all life form is a mirror of you. You realize when you're projecting, deflecting, and playing victim, because you suddenly have that increased awareness that everybody is a mirror image of you. So these things become more apparent. You're not in denial. You start to realize that you've got to really treat other people the way you want to be treated. And sometimes you can observe it coming along before it happens, and you step in to prevent certain behaviors from taking place, like when you're about to project or deflect your pain and wounding and trauma onto other people. When we do that, we're not accepting responsibility, and we want to be in denial because it's too much to deal with the pain of acknowledging that we have these traumas and pains and wounding. So what we do is we project it onto others. But when that happens, after you start to awaken, you start to sense empathy, increased empathy, and you wouldn't want to do it to other people. You start to take responsibility because you're more mature, you're more spiritually mature, you're more mentally capable of handling responsibility and taking responsibility for your own actions instead of blaming other people for it. So you are moving slowly but surely away from the unconscious domain and the subconscious domain into a more conscious state of being. You're more heart-centered even, so your responses will come from a place of great care and responsibility towards yourself and towards other people. So you're not treating yourself any differently to how you're treating other people. And that, I speak of this being a state of ideal love and unity consciousness, and there's stages to it. So it may not look like I'm completely in love with everybody at the start, but you're working towards that. At least logically, you understand and understand that this is a prerequisite to actually, you know, being a guardian, to be in that state of, okay, I'm trying to be one, and I'm trying to understand the concept of oneness. I don't feel it, but at least I understand it, and that's good. That's good enough. It will happen in stages, so don't expect too much at once, but that starts to happen once you start to activate to your true self. Number 7, you may be constantly or irregularly, or maybe regularly, experiencing synchronicities. And that's one thing that even the New Age agree with us on, is that it's something that cannot be denied. Once the universe wants to communicate with you and let you know that you're on the right path, it's going to do that through numbers. It's not going to do that through talking. It might do it through other people. You may see a word on a sign post, or you know, shop front, or, you know, I don't know, on a shopping docket that just stands out, and it's like, oh, what's the universe trying to tell me here? You know, you're not looking out for it. It just stands out for you, and that's when you can tell the difference, that it's meant for you, it's sent for you at that particular time in order to be, you know how you have triggering events, you know, when you catch yourself or something happen and you're like, okay, why is this happening? It's a trigger event. It's got a cause, a very important cause. So these are the words, they're trigger words. They bring about a level of awakening or activation within, and they trigger us to remember something that's going to occur, or something that has already taken place. So you, time is not linear. That means when your higher self guides you and you hear the message, that's when the magic and the mystery begins to take place in those experiences and in those beautiful synchronistic moments. Number 8, you're starting to realize deep down a sense of, like, you know, being guided by a higher being. And that's your own higher being. In the Krystic community, we do not, we don't teach channeling, and we do not talk about, we're not taught to take on the energy of another person or another being just because they're higher. And that's an assumption as well, because we don't actually know that. So we only look up to ourselves, our own energy, encryption in its higher form. So we look at ourselves in a higher dimension to be the guide, our guide. So this higher guide is you. You begin to learn to trust that feeling and that inner knowing. You begin to trust yourself more and more as time goes by. Many say that they have completely abandoned all professional guidance because they don't feel the need for that anymore. It's an intermediary, so it's no longer needed. You have a direct connection with the higher self, with God's source, you go straight there. So the middleman is cut out from the equation, and many say they no longer need that extra help, because they can go to source directly. Our bodily organs start to communicate to us where and when we need to heal for regeneration, and you know, sometimes we just get the message even though we don't ask. It just appears to us that, okay, something needs attention, and we get the message. So we need to be more in touch and more awakened to being sensitive so that we can read those messages and understand what they're trying to tell us. There is a huge trust as a person begins to raise their frequency, and the body becomes more adaptable and more able to restore and regenerate itself on its own. That's number 8. Number 9, as you start to awaken and activate, you begin to access the powers of your own multidimensional body. So with surrender, patience, and practice, you begin to explore the once dormant powers within, such as the power of telepathy, clairvoyance, inner knowing, instant manifestation, lucid dreaming, and much more. These abilities don't come all at once, because that rarely happens. It can happen in near-death experiences, or when someone's being abducted and and taught all these skills and given all these powers. But that's not the natural organic way to do things. The natural way is that we evolve slowly and we activate slowly, because it's all these energies that we have to take on and assimilate and integrate. So it has to be done slowly. So you begin to access the powers of your own multidimensional body. And it's very important to surrender to those experiences. Any form of resistance, I feel, really begins to send messages to our higher self that we're dealing with too much and we need less of that. So it's best if we communicate. If it's too much, we can say, no, that's too much. But your soul knows better. So I feel like it's not needed, because your soul is your highest guide. And there is a domain where all the extra energies that comes through to you is stored until we have the ability to assimilate it. So we have that that gracious space where we can store things until we need them and we're able to tap into them. So that's the beauty of this creation, is we have everything we need already inbuilt. So with surrender, with patience and practice, and you need to practice, it's important to take the right steps towards the direction you want to go, but take action. Without action, things aren't just going to happen like that. Not likely anyway. You need to practice. You need to take that walk. You need to begin to explore those abilities by asking the question, okay, I'm interested in these abilities. I want to know how I can do them, and begin to do those techniques that we're taught in keylontic science and through Ashayana Dean, if that's the path you're on. These dormant powers will start to awaken, and you start to enjoy glimpses of these different abilities at first, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a lucid dream, within a lucid dream, and it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I've had a few lucid dreams, not in the recent year or two. In my early days, during the beginning of my awakening journey, when I was a teenager, I also had a few. I didn't understand what they were. The experience seemed a little too crazy, a little too scary for me. But now I love it. And I feel like I need to write it all down, because it's somehow, for some reason, I think you all understand what I'm trying to say, is when you wake up, it's like there's that window, that 5-minute window or something, where you're in between states, between the unconscious, subconscious, and the conscious state. And it's that window, that time frame where you need to recall the dream, otherwise it's completely gone. So yeah, journaling, when you have those experiences, journal them. Very important and helpful when you want to, recall some of those nice experiences later on and share it with your children, with your family. You don't want to go tell the whole world, but if you want to, you can. I personally feel like they're very sacred experiences, and they're not to be shared on every single social media outlet, but if you would like to, then go for it, of course. Now, the next one is when you begin to awaken and activate, you feel like you're living in the now mostly, enjoying your time on earth, even though you know you are here as a visitor, but you're still having a good time. You're able to savor the moment and what it has to offer. You enjoy living in nature, and you feel most alive amidst nature. You're starting to feel your aliveness. It's coming online. You feel like you're separating from the hologram. It's like it's pushing you back, and you're happily doing so. You're just taking a step back. It's pushing you back, and you're taking a step back, and you're quite happy and content doing that. You may even have an aversion to large cities or crowded places, and you have an increased empathy and compassion towards all life forms, even the hologram. Like when I look into the hologram and I can feel it distinct from my body, my own family, my environment, I see the hologram and I feel really sad for what's taking place, because I feel I can't help it, and sometimes we can, and sometimes, most of the time, we cannot help it, because remember, we're in a free will planet, and free will means we don't give something to somebody if they're not asking for it. So you can't go and heal someone if you haven't asked for permission first, even if it's something meaningful, something from your heart, something positive and something great, such as healing somebody. Just because you think it's great for you doesn't mean it's great for them, because they need to ask for it. They need to give you permission to do it. So I feel like I want to send everyone healing, but I don't want to interfere in free will. So I just send a general energy. I send positive thoughts, and by activating myself and working on my own activations, I also share these energies around the globe and just help with the shielding and with giving information and sharing some of the freedom teachings and things like that. So this is my contribution to the world, but we can't go out there and try and help every person. It's just not possible, and time consuming as well, and not to mention giving too much energy, you begin to feel drained and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's something that begins to happen, is you start to feel like you're more in the now, very separate from the hologram. And it can be quite frightening too, because it could come with a sense of aloneness and loneliness sometimes. So always have a community. Find the people that you mentally congruent with, and maybe even if you just cannot find anyone because of where you are, even people online, and if you don't like the online, that's okay. You can find at least a few people who have the common interests with you, where at least you can do physical things together that are good and beneficial for you. Like, you might find a detoxing group, or a fasting group, or a healing group, nutritional medicine group. These groups are good to start off, with, but I feel like as time goes by, we need more soulful connection. So we start to really, really search for, seriously search for these groups. It's a very hard thing to do. That's why you've got to get a little bit creative, and maybe if you're not finding the right group, create your own platform. Create a platform where people can come to you and feel like they're a part of your group. And that's really helpful, because that's what we have created. We have a nice little group here locally, but we have a group online as well. And we feel like we've got healthy boundaries and great relationship with some of them who we know more intimately than others. But yeah, it just feels really good because we're on the same wavelength. We can share ideas and exchange ideas and get creative together. And there's minimal judgment and a lot of appreciation and trust. So that's very, very important. Now, the next thing, which is the last point, is life will start to feel more utopian and less dystopian, more like a creation that you are taking a part in. You know, the world is polarized, good, evil, okay? But you're starting to realize that you have the power to see through both polarization and also affect it. So you start to gather your tribe, inspire people, and that sort of thing without focusing too much on, oh, we're going down, we're losing, we've been infiltrated, we're compromised, there's no way out. You know, you will try till the very last minute of your life to find solutions and to get creative with your tribe. You will always be inspiring, because to be of that kind of person, that spirit that always wants to inspire other people, that's not an easy thing, because we have days when we feel really low and we don't want to talk to anybody, but people are looking up to us and looking for inspiration from us. It's like, well, wait, don't be inspired by me. Right now, I'm not feeling great. And you need to be very transparent and genuine about this, being in a state of like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm inspiring, but you're feeling really terrible on the inside. That's not being genuine. Very important to be genuine and reassuring just by being yourself, being you. So when you activate and that process of unfoldment begins, this comes naturally to you. You inspire, you lead people, you challenge people, you co-create, you coach people, and that just comes to you naturally. You may start to gather your tribe, and you may elect to go without a tribe, just be solo or with your partner or family, and that's okay too. But stress, confusion, anxiety slowly wither away, because you're standing strong now in your own powers and you're connecting deeply with Source Creator. This becomes more of a life mission that you commit to wholeheartedly, and it's not just a phase or a moment in your life. It's a thing that you live by. It's those values that you uphold strongly, and it's a wholehearted commitment to this mission that becomes important to you. So that's the 11 points summarized, and I hope these points were helpful in shedding some light on this topic. I just realized that I haven't talked about symptoms, but maybe we can save this for another video. It's dedicated solely for discussing symptoms of ascension and activation symptoms. So thank you for following and for being here in our space. We look forward to this continued information sharing, knowledge sharing, and excitement being here, this point, this time where we needed to be here and to be together to serve the greater purpose and our own ascension as well. Much love to all of you. Take care.